Thank you for coming today, you guys. I know there's a million other things you could be doing today, right? But you chose to come to a leadership class in the middle of July. So I commend you for that. There are not many students who are opting to do what you are doing. And I promise you that you will get something out of today. Okay? I am not here to waste your time. Okay? So I'm gonna jump right in. All right, you guys. This class is called Discover Your Personal Mission. It is a personal leadership challenge. And the reason it's a challenge is because I just said most students are not going to volunteer to come to a leadership class in the middle of the summer. But you guys did, and that is amazing. You guys are all uh, leading your life today. And the question that we are interested in answering today is basically, what should I do with my life? So if you are asking, why am I here? Why did God put me on the earth? Why am I working so hard? Why do I have so many classes? Why do I wake up so early and stay up so late? Some of you are on the cusp of going into high school, and you might be thinking, what classes should I pick in ninth grade? Or some of you might be going into 10th grade. What classes should I pick? Or the older ones of you might be asking, what college major should I choose? You might be asking, I think I know which career I want to pursue, but I'm not 100% sure. And I want to be more sure. There are a million different jobs, right? A million different majors, professions that you could choose, careers. And how do you choose? Some of you, you're just here to confirm. Like you're 80% sure you know what you want to do, but you're here to confirm. And those of us who are Christians, we're always concerned with glorifying God with our work and our lives. So if you're asking, how can I glorify God with my work? Then these are the right questions that we're here to answer today. Okay? Um, this is a mastermind, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about how a mastermind runs because some of you have never been in a mastermind before. Some of you have, but how it works is I'm going to actually pick on some of you to help read what is on the slide, okay? And some students are still joining, and that's fine. But could I have Kayla read this verse out loud, Kayla?
For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, my soul knows it very well. Psalm 139, verse 13 and 14.
Perfect. Thank you, Kayla. This verse I want to start with because this is such a beautiful verse about purpose. There is nobody on earth like you. There is only one you on the entire face of the earth. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, and God does not make anything that is not wonderful. So you are unique, okay? What you are put on the earth to do, only you can do. Okay, let me have Silas, can you read this verse out loud?
We are God's workmanship, created in Jesus Christ to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do.
That's
Ephesians 2:10.
Thank you. Ephesians 2:10. Yes. So this is saying that you are the work of God, right? You are the clay, he is the potter, just like this picture shows. And why were you created, Silas? What does this say?
To do good works.
Yep, to do good works. And guess what? God actually prepared these works in advance while you were still in your mother's womb, even before you were a thought in your mother's mind. God had already prepared good works for you to do. The question we are here to answer is, what are those good works, right? What am I here to do? Eliana, can you read this verse at the top in red?
Jesus prayed, Father, as you have sent me into the world, I have sent them into the world. John 17:18.
Thank you, Eliana. In the graphic in the center of the screen, it's Very similar. Jesus says, as the Father has sent me, so I send you. You have been sent by a sender. Who is that sender? Who sent you here, Madeline? Who's the sender, the great sender?
God.
Yep, that's right. The Father, right? As the Father has sent me, so I send you. You guys are here on purpose. I hope you guys believe that. We've read 3 verses that show that you are not here by coincidence, by accident. God has put you here with purpose, for a purpose. And the questions we want to answer today are, why have I been sent into this world? And what have I been sent into this world to do? Right? And these are the questions you'll begin to answer today. Some of you are farther along in answering these questions, and that's great. But you guys are all in different stages of your search, right? For what you're here to do, your mission and your work. And so today I'm going to try to meet all of you where you are at. Okay? Um, if you've never been a part of a mastermind, just very quickly, how to get the most out of this class, you're already doing great. You just want to be seen and heard, right? Turn your camera on. You want to be teachable. You want to leave some room to receive some new ideas. So if you think of a water bottle, try not to come with a water bottle that is completely full, that there's no room at the top to receive more water. If you sense that you're sitting here with a closed heart or a closed mind and you're already daydreaming, come back to me. All right, come back and do me a favor, take a metaphorical drink out of the top of your water bottle and just give yourself a half inch of room to receive one new idea today. Okay? A mastermind, guys, is all about participation, contribution, and adding value to the group. And that's why I use light bulbs to kind of explain what a mastermind is. It's basically this group of students, who is you, that gather with the intention to grow. You are all here to grow, to answer some important questions, right? About your life, about your future, about your work. And the way you are going to grow is by contributing your ideas, your opinions, your knowledge, your experiences, your goals. And together, you guys are individual light bulbs that come together. And when you are together, all 8 or 9 of you in one Zoom room, you are brighter, you are bigger, you are better than if you were sitting in your own room with your little light turned on all by yourself. Okay, so together you are a mastermind. I hope that makes sense. So welcome to maybe your first mastermind. And yeah, this is what we do. Let's introduce ourselves very quickly. In the chat box, just write 1, 2, and 3 and answer these 3 questions. Where do you live? I don't need your address. You're just going to tell us what city and state do you live in, because not everybody here is in California. I myself am in California, Southern California, Upland. But number 2, answer, what are you doing this summer? Like what's been the highlight of your summer? I gave you some pictures here to think about what you've been doing. And number 3, what career do you want to pursue after college? Like, if you're not sure, just write not sure, right? This class is actually for people who are not sure and those who want confirmation. So, but if you know, right, tell us. Last week I gave this class and somebody said, I want to be a veterinarian. Another student said, I want to go into medicine, something in science. So if you know, just tell us where you are in your decision. So 1, 2, and 3, just answer these questions and I'm going to open the chat box. And this way, not everybody needs to talk. You guys can just read each other's answers. But I am going to personalize this class a little bit so it helps to know where you guys are all at. Okay. Vincent, thank you. You are from California. You are wanting to be a gamer, and obviously this summer you are doing this class. Thank you. Vincent, do you want to play games or do you want to create games? And I'm assuming you mean video games. Nathan, you are in Upland. Yes, actually, Nathan lives very close to me. You are graduating high school and you are not sure. Great. This class is for you. Um, Eliana, you are in Walnut, California. You are taking vacations. Good for you, girl. You think you want to do animation, music, or writing. Wow, such creative space that you want to enter. Silas, you are in Argyle, Texas. Wonderful. Okay, Vincent's clarifying that he wants to play games. Yeah, okay. Um, Kayla, you said you are in Walnut. Cool. That's because you're sisters with Eliana. This summer, you are going on vacation as well. You are doing summer camp. How fun. And you're hanging out with your friends. After college, you say you want to become a teacher. Amazing, Kayla. Okay, I want you to keep that in mind as we go through today's class, and hopefully you'll have more specificity. You know, what kind of teacher, what age range do you want to teach? Where do you want to teach? What subjects do you want to teach? Madeline, you are in Belmont, NorCal. Nice. You have been going to Girl Scout camp. Amazing. And you're not sure. Great. You don't need to be sure. Silas, you are hanging out with your friends. Great. And you want to do music production. Wow. We have some creatives in the room. Awesome. Okay, a little bit about me, guys. I am a leadership mentor to students just like you. A couple of you were in my mastermind last year, and so I've already had the pleasure and privilege of working with a few of you. But I founded what I call the Well-Led Life Leadership Mastermind, which is a Christian leadership program. This is my fifth year, so 4 years ago this started, and I work with students who want to grow not in positional leadership, not necessarily becoming class president or ASB vice president or anything like that. I work with students who just want to learn how to lead themselves before they lead anybody else. And the fact that you guys have led yourself here today proves to me that you're material for personal leadership. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about personal leadership a little bit later, okay? But this, you guys, is the mission that drives my work. I love working with students ever since I was one of you. Ever since I was a youth myself, I don't think I've ever left working with youth and youth ministry because this is such a formative, unique, and special time in your life. And it's so important for you guys and you girls to maximize your time in middle school and in high school, and I would say even in college, okay? You're all here to gain some clarity, right? Some of you are more sure than others about what you want to do and what God is calling you to do, but all of you could use clarity. And so today, my goal is to give you clarity about your life's mission, your purpose on the earth. And if you find clarity, I believe you will have 5 benefits. Okay. And I want you to read this list and think about which one of these 5 do I need this upcoming 2025-2026 school year. 1, do you want to wake up with a sense of peace and purpose in your life? You want to know why you're getting out of bed every morning. You have a sense of purpose and a sense of peace, right? You're not anxious or worried every morning when you wake up. 2, you want to feel excited for the future. You're here because you want to feel excited, even if it means next year you're a junior and it's going to be the hardest year of your high school career. 3, if you gain clarity, you will gain motivation to do well in school, in your homeschool, in your commitments, in your music, in your sports, everything you're involved in. Maybe some of you want more motivation this year. Some of you want more focus in school or in co-op or at music practice or on the field or on the court. And finally, who couldn't use more time management, right? Number 5, if you gain clarity about why you are here and what career you're trying to actually pursue, you're going to use your time better. You're not going to waste as much time, right? Less doom scrolling. Okay, put in the chat box, which numbers do you want? Thank you. Eliana, you can definitely put all of the above. Ethan, thank you. 1, 3, and 5. You want more motivation, more sense of peace and purpose, and better time management. Nathan says more motivation and more time management. Great, great. Madeline also says motivation and focus and time management. Silas, you say a sense of peace and purpose. Great. Vincent's 3 and 5, motivation, time management. Silas also says excitement for the future. Yep, even if it means more homework. And Kayla says all of the above. Yeah, I mean, who doesn't want all of the above, right? But sometimes you need one thing more than another. Today's promise, you guys, I do want you to leave with more clarity, okay, about your life's mission, meaning your purpose, as well as your career direction. I want you by the end of our class to understand the difference between your mission and your work. They are not the same thing. I want you to understand the importance of having core values. All of you already have core values. Today, you're just going to get to kind of identify them. All right. By the time you leave class, you'll have your top 5. And then before you leave, I want you all to decide on one action that you are going to take this school year, maybe even this summer before school starts. One action that you're going to take to continue to gain even more clarity than you get today. Okay. About what you want to do for work and why. Okay. So today you're going to hear a lot of information. Those of you who have been in my classes, you know there's more information than you can probably digest. Don't get overwhelmed by the amount of information today. Listen for the one idea that God is going to put in this class for you today. Okay, there's one thing that you need right now. And so don't try to remember everything. Just look for the one idea that you need. Those of you who are tryhards, I would take some notes. I did not put a lot of stuff on your worksheet because I didn't want to overwhelm you. But those of you who are, sweaty, feel free to write down as much as you need to on your worksheet, okay, or on the back. So let's jump in, guys. What is a mission? If you had to define mission, put it in the chat box. What do you think a mission is? What is a mission if you have an idea? Vincent says your life. Wow, yes. I'm not going to say you're wrong, Vincent, but today we're going to get a little more specific, okay? Eliana, a goal. Yeah, that is definitely part of a mission. Yeah. And a goal that you want to accomplish can also be called the mission that you're on. Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with that. Any other ideas? Just put it in the chat box. Just give you guys a few more seconds. Nathan says a goal which you or someone else has set that you aim to complete or work toward. Yeah. So basically a goal as well. And I'm not going to say that's wrong. You're right, Nathan. Kayla says a will to achieve something. Oh, Kayla, you are getting at the heart, like the motive, like the desire to achieve that goal that Nathan and Eliana are talking about. Yeah, I love that. Thank you, Kayla. If anybody has any more ideas, go ahead and put them in the chat box. So far, all of you are on the right track. So none of you said that your mission is your work. And I'm so glad that none of you said it's your job, your career, your work. Because you guys, especially those of you who are upperclassmen in high school, people can make it seem like what you choose to do with your career, what major you choose in college is everything, right? Like, how many of you can relate to that pressure? I guarantee you, people are only going to talk to you more and more about your job, your potential career, your college major, the older you get. Okay. So it's only going to intensify over the next couple of years. And that's why you're here to give it some thought, right? Because, your life is more than your job and your career. Okay. So to understand what is mission, let's distinguish it from work because I just said mission is more than your work. And I'm going to tell you two short stories, but I think they're pretty powerful. Okay, so it's story time, kids. Gather around. Crisscross applesauce. I'm just kidding. Have you guys heard of the story of the three stonecutters? Okay, picture this. You're in Rome. Where's Rome? Italy. There are three stonecutters working, and a passerby walks by the first stonecutter, the one on the left, and asks him, "What are you doing?" The first stonecutter says, "I am making a living. I am paying my bills." The passerby says, "Okay." And then he goes to the second stonecutter in the middle. He says, "What are you doing?" He says, "I am the best stonecutter. I'm faster and better than anybody else." Okay. The passerby gives him a nod and goes to the third stonecutter. Asks him, "What are you doing?" He says, "I am building a cathedral. Everyone who enters will find peace, hope, and God." In the chat box, tell me, what can you learn about the difference between your work and your mission from this story? What can you learn from this story? They are all doing exactly the same work, right? They are all cutting stone. But what is the difference between one, two, and three? There's no wrong answer. It's just an opportunity to think about the difference between work and a mission. I want you guys to get to read everybody's responses, but if I might ask, is anybody willing to just turn on your mic and say what you are writing? Does anybody have an idea of what is the difference? Any volunteers? Eliana, the first one is work because he's only working for money. Yeah, he is working for money. Uh-huh. And as you guys keep typing, can I call on Nathan? Do you mind telling us what you got out of this story, Nathan?
Exactly sure, but one thing that I took away is that like work is what you're doing. As you can
Mm-hmm.
see that all three of them are doing the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
but mission is kind of like it's more than work. It's kind of like the reason for why you're doing what you're doing. So like motivation.
Yes. Yes, that is perfect. Yes, Nathan, thank you. So Nathan said, mission is more than your work. It's the motivation for why you're doing what you're doing. And that is pretty much spot on. As you can see, please go ahead and keep sharing your ideas because this is a mastermind. They're all building a cathedral, right? Do you guys know what a cathedral looks like? This is what a cathedral looks like. Maybe not, in America, but if you go to Rome, if you go to Europe, if you go to Italy, you will find spectacular architecture, spectacular buildings like this. And so basically, guys, thank you, Silas. Thank you, Madeline. Thank you for your thoughts in the chat box. The first stonecutter, his question is, what do you pay? The the mission is to pay the bills, right? To put food on the table. And there's nothing wrong with that in and of itself, right? You have to make money to survive, right? The stonecutter in the middle, his question is, what can I achieve? Right? So his work is all about reaching his own potential, right? Becoming the best that he can be. Again, that in and of itself is is a mission, but a somewhat self-centered mission, right? Somewhat self-centered. The third stonecutter, he says, I am building a cathedral. So he is saying that he is contributing something to not just his generation, but to generations after him. He sees his work as part of a bigger assignment, a bigger offering, a bigger gift, right? And he has the other centered focus, right? Where he's not in this just for himself. He realizes that his work is going to contribute to even future generations. Yes, Silas, you're right. One and two are work oriented. One's for money, two's for pride. Three is focused on the meaning, the goal behind the work. Yes. And Kayla, you're right. Their motives are very different. Okay. Ethan, the one on the left, is doing just a job to make money. The one in the middle is to prove that they are the best. Yeah, he's just flexing, right? The one in the middle. And then the third one is doing this for it's a true mission. Yes. Okay. Do you guys like that story? Let me tell you another very quick, shorter story, okay? In 1962, President John F. Kennedy visited the NASA headquarters in Washington, D.C., and he saw a man in the hallway holding a broom, and he approached the man and asked him, "What do you do here?" And what did this man answer? He said, "I am helping to put a man on the moon." Okay, this one I'm not going to ask you to type anything in the chat box. I'm just going to ask you to speak. Okay, what could he have said? What could he have answered, Silas? If President Kennedy asked this man, "What are you doing here? What is your role here?" What could he have said?
He could have said he's a janitor cleaning the halls or in the other areas.
Yep, he
But
could have said the obvious, right? But Kayla, what did he choose to say?
He chose to say like how he was contributing to the cause of NASA.
Yep. Yeah, he didn't say, "Oh, I'm just the janitor." Right? So what can you learn about this story between the difference between work and mission? Madeline, what did you take away from this story?
He focused on like sort of like the bigger idea
Mm-hmm.
instead of like just focusing on the fact that he's like the janitor.
Yes, he saw meaning, right, behind what he does there. Is it important for the NASA headquarters to be clean? What do you think, Vincent? Is it important for the NASA headquarters to be a clean place?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, if there is a sterile environment, right, other than like the room where they're performing surgery in a hospital, I would think the NASA headquarters needs to be spick and span, right? That place has got to be highly sanitized if you're dealing with people who are going to space. And the goal of that presidency, President Kennedy is the one who cast the vision that America is going to be the first nation to send a crew to the moon. And we did. After JFK's presidency, he didn't get to see Neil Armstrong on the moon, but we totally achieved that mission. Okay? That space race between us and the Soviet Union. So, after you heard those two stories, what is a mission? Take out your worksheet and I'm going to tell you what to put in those first two blanks. Work versus mission. Your work is, it says my work is basically what I do. My mission is why I do it. So the first W is what I do. The second W is why I do it. That's what you write in the worksheet. Okay? And I'm going to just write that in the chat box My work is what I do. My mission is why I do it. Okay? Okay, so let's get into it a little bit more. Here are some other ways to think about your mission. Your mission is an important purpose that motivates your work. That's what Nathan said earlier, the motivation behind the work. That's perfect. What motivates your work? Why do you do what you do? It's your why. Okay, like that's what you just wrote on the worksheet. Your work is your what, your mission is your why. Why you've been sent. Why Jesus sent you out into this world. If you're a tryhard, here are 3 C's that you can use to think about mission. It's your cause that you're fighting for. It's your contribution that you're offering to the world. And this is a strong word, but some of you feel very strongly about what you are here to accomplish and why. And then that becomes a calling. If you're called, you guys, there's no option. You have to do what God is calling you to do. Okay? And sometimes God is calling you to do something difficult, right? Like I have friends who are called to be missionaries or pastors. That's not an easy calling, but they do it because they're called. All right? So, cause, contribution, calling, those are all things you can also write on your worksheet next to mission, okay? If you are a visual learner, this should help you out. I did not put this on your worksheet, but it's easy enough to draw if you want to draw it on the side or on the back of your worksheet. And this just shows you that your work is part of your mission, okay? Your work is a means to your mission. So your work should not be your entire life, right? Do you guys know people who have changed jobs? Maybe some of your parents, they used to do one line of work and then now they do something completely different. My dad did that, right? That happens all the time. People change jobs, they change careers, God changes your mind, right? So your work can change over time. And that is normal and that is fine. But this is going to make a little more sense as I get through my slides. But your mission is always bigger than your work, okay? You're here to try to find the work or works, plural, that would all fulfill your mission. There are many ways to fulfill the same mission. Like my story, I want to equip leaders for the church and for the world. I've only been doing this job for 5 years, right? But before this, I was directing a children's ministry at my church. So I basically saw leadership in the kids that I worked with at church. And I was developing leaders in the Sunday school teachers that I worked alongside at church, right? It was the same mission. I was still developing leaders. I was developing Sunday school leaders as well as children. Now I am developing teens and students, right? But it's all been leadership and Christian leadership. Does that make sense? Okay. If you think about the stories that I just told you, the mission for the janitor at NASA, the mission of NASA, JF Kennedy's mission that year was to inspire Americans that we are able to put a man on the moon. We are the first country that is going to land a man on the moon. And he wanted to establish America's leadership in technology. And the way that he was going to do it was by putting a man on the moon. The janitor, that was his contribution. That was his role to support the mission, right? But there were other jobs in the NASA headquarters, right? And I just gave you some ideas here. Some were Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, who were actually in the space shuttle, right? Going to the moon. That was also part of the mission. There were engineers and programmers and administrative staff and architects who built the NASA building. There were plumbers and electricians that needed to supply the building with water and electricity, right? So all these jobs supported the mission to inspire Americans and to establish America's leadership by putting a man on the moon. Does that make sense? If you think about the stonecutter story, the mission was to give people hope, peace, and to give them the presence of God. How? By building a cathedral. That was the mission, to build this cathedral because they needed the cathedral to give people hope, peace, and God. The stonecutter, his work was part of that mission, right? To cut the stone to build that cathedral. But there were other jobs that also supported the mission to give people hope, peace, and God. There were architects who designed that cathedral. There are glass workers who put the stained glass in place. There were a whole construction crew. There's woodworkers, there's plumbers, electricians. There's so many more roles. Does that make sense? The work and the mission, how do you distinguish them, but how they all work together? Okay. Those of you who don't know what work you want to do with your life, you can find your work by finding your mission. You can find your what by finding your why. Okay, you can write that on your paper if you want, or take a screenshot of this screen. So those of you who don't know what you want to do, think about, what is your motivation? Okay, and I'm going to give you a question to ask yourself here in a minute. But now, as Christians, we have one more circle that we need to draw on our visual graphic. Because if you're not a Christian, you very well could be the first and second stonecutter who are just here to make a living and to flex and to become the best you as possible. But those of us who are Christians, God Himself is on a mission. What is God's mission? What is God's why? What is God's cause? What has He been doing since the beginning of time, even before you were born? And as Christians, our work and our mission should align with God's mission. Okay, so this is what we're trying to avoid. God's off doing His own thing. God has a cause. God has a motive, a purpose. But your motive and your purpose has nothing to do with God's. Your mission has nothing to do with God's. And then your work has nothing to do with your mission or God's mission. I want to say something very important here, and that is there will be seasons when you have to do work just to pay the bills. You have to be that first stonecutter. Just because, like I said before, you need money to live, right? There's rent to pay. There's food that you need to buy. There's gas that needs to be put in the car, right? And so I'm thinking of like the baristas who work at Starbucks. They don't plan to work at Starbucks for the rest of their lives. They're just there because they need a day job to pay the bills while they're working. So many of them that I've met are like in the entertainment industry, right? They actually are trying to break into like acting or dancing or film producing or screenwriting. But they need a job, right? They work at In-N-Out, they work at Chick-fil-A, they work at Target. Just they need work to pay the bills. I'm not criticizing that as being wrong. I am just saying that there are seasons where it seems like your work has nothing to do with what you're actually called to do. But most people will get out of that season and they're just waiting for the side hustle to take off. Does that make sense? And so that's why when you get a job in college, right, washing dishes for the campus restaurant, that is okay. That is good. That is legitimate. That doesn't mean your calling is, your mission is to serve the college restaurant. Okay. So going back to what is God's mission? What do you think God is here to do? Basically, He is here to redeem and to restore His people. So if you're taking notes, you can write redeem and restore people by meeting their needs. That is what God is here to do. And so John 3:16 on this slide. Can I have Ethan read John 3:16?
So where is it? Oh, for God so loved the world that he gave his own one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life.
Thank you, Ethan. Yep, we all know that verse, right? God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whoever believes in him will not die but live forever with him. That is basically what God is trying to do every day, with or without us, but hopefully with us and through our missions. What does it mean to redeem? I'm just reading the slide here. To rescue. Right? He sent Jesus to rescue us, to save us. And do you guys realize that God saves us every single day? Right? God rescues us every single day. We don't see most of that rescuing, but God gives us grace every day that protects us, that preserves us, because, out of his providence over our lives. And to redeem also is to repair, to make us whole again, to restore what we lost in Eden when Adam and Eve chose to sin. So we call this sanctification, right? God is always trying to repair us and bring us back to our original state, which is to be more and more like him, more and more like Jesus. Okay? So if we know now what God is trying to do, his mission is to redeem and restore his people by meeting their needs. First, their need for salvation. Then, our mission is the same as God's, because I said we have to align our mission with God's, right? But if you're familiar with the Westminster Shorter Catechism, question 1 that says, what is the chief end of man? Like what, in other words, what is our purpose and why are you here? The answer, the Christian answer to the meaning of life is to glorify God. Okay, you can ask yourself, do I agree with that? That the reason I am put on earth, first and foremost, is to glorify God. You're here to find out the details, the specifics of how you're going to glorify God, right? Given who God created you to be. But we're all here to work with God, to join his mission, to redeem, to restore, to repair, to renew the earth, to rescue the earth. Okay, and that, if you're looking for a verse to back that up, Matthew 5:14 through 16. It might be small, so I'll just read it out loud. You guys, you are the salt of the earth. You, Eliana, you, Silas, you, Kayla, you, Ethan, you, Vincent, you, Nathan, you, Madeline, you are the light of the world. So let your light shine, that men may see your good works. Remember Ephesians 2:10, you were created for good works. You're meant for people to see your work and not glorify you, right? Not flex like that second stonecutter, but you're meant to reflect God's glory in your work. Okay, so one question you can ask yourself: how do I want to glorify God with my work, right? When do I feel like I am glorifying God when I do this? I'm thinking of that runner. Oh, what was his name? Do you guys remember the runner who said, when I run, I feel the pleasure of God? He was known, his name is escaping me right now. But when do you feel the pleasure of God? When do you sense, like, right now, life is not about me. It is about God, right? For me, it's actually when I do this. Like, I'm kind of in that zone right now. When I'm helping students to get something that they want and get something that they need, I sense, like, this is for you, Lord, right? There's 100 other things I could be doing too with my life, but I choose this. I choose you. So here's a good question you can ask yourself. Which needs do I want to meet with my work? Which needs do I want to meet with my work? You can write that down. Those of you who don't have any idea what kind of work you want to do, ask yourself, write on your paper, which needs do I want to meet with my work? Okay, needs. Are you guys familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs? This is something that those of you who choose to go with me through the school year to delve more into your mission and into your work, we're going to spend a whole year like clarifying your work and your mission. Those of you who are interested in joining me this school year for the mastermind, this is one of the things we will talk about in depth. Maslow, Abraham Maslow, who was a psychologist, he came up with this helpful hierarchy. Okay, I don't agree with Maslow's theology or his philosophy of life, but I do think his hierarchy is helpful. He says humans basically have 5 needs. And if you were to categorize them and summarize them, we have physiological needs, psychological needs, and the need for growth and learning. So at the bottom of the hierarchy, these are basic needs for food, for water, for rest. Once you meet those needs, then there's the need for safety. There's need for security, right? And that's why you can have homeless people who have food and water and who can sleep on the streets, but they have no safety. They have no security, right? Once you meet the need for safety and security, then people have need for love and belonging. They want to belong. And safety and security, that's basically what the cathedral, the need that the cathedral meets, right? To give people a place for hope, peace, and God's presence, which are all ways to say that people go to cathedrals for safety and security. After love and belonging, the need for community, then you can meet people's needs for self-esteem. People want to feel good. They want to have confidence. After that, then you can give people all the extras in life: education, higher education, graduate education, degrees. That is growth and learning, which is also known as self-actualization. And that is what putting a man on the moon sought to fulfill. That the need at that time in our country was to inspire Americans. President Kennedy wanted to inspire Americans to believe in America, that we can put a man on the moon. And he was right. And ever since then, America has flexed like as a global leader. Like we did it first. Okay. We wanted to win that space race. Does this help, guys? So think about which needs do I want to meet? If you don't know what you want to do with your life, do I want to meet people's physiological needs, their needs for food, water, rest, safety, security? Right? This is also law enforcement. This is hospital workers. This is the medical field. This is the health field. Or do I want to meet people's psychological needs? Do I want to be a coach, right? Love and belonging. Do I want to be a counselor, a psychologist that will help people to gain more self-esteem, feel better about themselves, understand themselves better, understand their psyche? Or do I want to meet needs for growth and learning? Kayla, if you want to be a teacher, you're up here, right? But these overlap because Kayla, teachers also foster a sense of love and belonging in the classroom, right? And ideally, a school should also be a place of safety and security. So these are not separate. They all work together. But I think it's helpful to ask yourself, which of these levels of needs do I feel most strongly about meeting? Okay. So pastors, right? They are invested in spiritual needs, which I think is actually even higher than self-actualization. Pastors and missionaries, they are self-transcendent. They are actually transcending themselves, and now they're on the spiritual realm. That's not here because Maslow was not Christian. But if you were to add, God and ministry here, ministry accomplishes a lot of these, but ministry is self-transcendent, actually. Okay. So ask yourself, do I want to go into ministry? Do I want to help people with growth and learning? Do I want to meet psychological needs or physiological needs? Okay, let's do this real quick. Now the visual graphic is complete. God is on a mission to redeem and restore his people by meeting their needs. First and foremost, their need for salvation. We are on a mission to glorify God by aligning our mission with God, also by redeeming and restoring people by meeting their needs with our good works, right? Building the cathedral, putting a man on the moon, feeding people, giving them a place to belong, helping them understand themselves. Your work is how you use your unique interests and your unique abilities. Like I said, there's no one else on the earth exactly like you. You are unique. But how God wired you is how God wants to use you to redeem and restore his people. Okay. 1 Corinthians 12:27 says, you are the body of Christ. Each of you has your own part, your own role to play in the body. You're here to find out what part of that body am I, right? And there's so many different jobs that you could do. But let's just go through a couple of these, right? If you were to look at a farmer at the top left, if you were to help a farmer to find his mission, what would you say are the needs that a farmer meets? Silas, what needs does a farmer meet?
Farmers usually produce food and products of that sort. So you could
Yes.
say they're meeting basic needs like food and water.
Yes, the basic bottom level of this hierarchy. Farmers obviously grow all the fruits and vegetables that we buy from the grocery store, right? And does that help to rescue and restore people? Silas, do we need that food?
Yes, yeah, we do.
Yes. Yes, right? That is such a basic need, and all of our food is provided by God, right? How about this one's more obvious, a doctor or a nurse? Eliana, what needs does a doctor or a nurse or a medical health worker meet?
Health.
Mm-hmm. Basically restoring your sickness. I mean, restoring your health by getting rid of any sickness, right? Or performing that surgery that you need. How about a construction worker? A little harder, right? Nathan, how do you think a construction worker can redeem and restore people? What is his work?
For safety and security, like shelter.
Yes, he's the one building our houses, our churches, our hospitals, our work offices, right? Everything that's built is coming from construction workers. Okay, a little bit harder. Madeline, a little harder. How does a hairstylist or a barber help to redeem and restore people by meeting their needs? What needs does a barber meet?
Maybe like self-esteem, like your
Yep.
haircut gives you like confidence.
Right? Have you guys ever had like an awesome haircut? Yes, I hope you have because it makes you feel so good, so confident, like Madeline said. Confident. And have you guys ever had a bad haircut? Who here has had a bad haircut? Does that make you want to go out and be seen and do a lot of things? No, I had a bad haircut. I actually had a bad haircut and perm in fourth grade, and I wanted to hide until my hair grew back. That is like the worst feeling, right? Okay, so are you guys understanding that God needs every job on the face of this earth to meet different needs that people have? But if you just spend 1 minute asking yourself, what is the greater mission behind this work? They are all meeting needs that we have. And that meeting those needs is how God is loving us, saving us, repairing us, restoring us, renewing us, serving us. Does that make sense, you guys? Does that make sense? Yeah, this is kind of advanced now, okay? But the question is, how do you find your mission, your purpose, your cause, and your contribution? Okay, so here's where I'm going to tell you what to write in the third the third space. Discovering my personal mission will require the P and the L stands for personal leadership. And what is personal leadership? Those of you who are in my mastermind, you already know. Leading yourself, leading myself. The fact that you have made it through already an hour of this class, I'm going to try to end in about 15, maybe a little bit more. Maybe if you guys, yeah, I'm going to try to end in about 15 minutes, but I can tell that I might need a few more minutes. The fact that you guys have already sat here for an hour, you guys have led yourself to go through this class. You are leading yourself to learn right now. Personal leadership is such a basic thing, but it is not really talked about, not really taught overtly. And that's why I do what I do. What do I mean by personal leadership? Personal leadership is, Silas, can you read this out loud?
Proactive living, not passive living. Driving your life, not drifting through life. Taking radical responsibility for your life.
Yes, thank you. It's leading yourself. Those of you who are here, you are proactively thinking about your future. You are proactively thinking about your work and your mission. You're not just going to drift through this next school year. You're here to drive your year. And that's why, at the end in a few minutes here, you're going to get to decide what action am I actually going to take to gain clarity? Because I don't expect God to just give me a vision and give me a dream tonight to reveal the rest of my life. I'm actually going to have to work. I'm actually going to have to take some action, take some risks, do things, knock on doors, open doors, make phone calls, conduct interviews, do research. Okay? Because thinking about what you're going to do with your life is not going to give you clarity. Talking about what you're going to do with your life is not going to give you clarity. And I'm going to go so far as to say that even praying about what to do with your life without taking any action, that's not going to get you the clarity that you're looking for. You're going to have to lead. You're going to have to drive. You're going to have to, become a leader, not for anybody else, but for yourself. Okay? Very quickly, those of you who are in my mastermind, you have seen this more than once. Those of you who have never seen this before, this is basically what personal leadership looks like. Your life in a wheel. Your friendships, your physical health, your church life, your family, your personal devotion life, your personal relationship with the Lord, your academic life, and all your extracurriculars, your sports, your music, your hobbies, even the businesses that some of you run. You are in control. You are in charge of leading all 7 areas of your life. Okay? But the comfort that you have is that God is in control, right? God is ultimately sovereign over your life. In Him, we live, move, and have our being. So, unless you want your mom to live your life for you, or you want your dad to live your life for you and make all your decisions and choices for you, you get to lead your own life. And every student I've worked with so far wants to lead their own life. They don't want mom or dad to make all of their decisions for them. And you're in the exact time of life to make those choices. So, right now I'm going to lead you through that next section of your worksheet because I'm going to go through this quickly. Okay. Again, don't try to remember everything. Listen for the one thing that might be helpful to you. There are 8 questions, especially those of you who have no idea what you want to do for work. These 8 questions will point to your mission. And remember, I said you can find your work by thinking about your mission, your cause, your contribution. These are 8 questions here on your worksheet that should help to clarify, should point to your cause, your contribution, your mission. Okay. So if you were to put that on this visual, it's right here. Your mission can be found out by answering these 8 questions. And then hopefully by answering those 8 questions, you will find your work or confirm what it is that you want to do. Okay. So very quickly, we're going to go through this school year for those of you who are going to join my mastermind. What is everything about you pointing to? You start with asking yourself, what do I believe? Because if you guys are all Christians here, there's a very big difference between those of you who believe that you are here to glorify God and those of you who believe that you're here to flex. You're here to reach your highest potential and to be the best you that you can be before you die. That is a very different belief, right? That is a very different motive for living than the Christian motive. Okay, so what do you believe? If I believe that God put me here for a purpose, then by all means, let me find that purpose, right? Let me take some actions and start to experiment for what is that purpose. Let me do something. Okay, I can't do everything, but I will do something because I believe I'm here for a purpose. I don't believe I am here randomly. The second question you should ask yourself to find your mission or to find your work is, what is my definition of success? What is a successful life to me? We're going to talk about what the world says success is, right? It's basically health, wealth, comfort, and pleasure. But what does God say success is? What is a successful Christian life? Okay. The third question you can ask yourself is, what kind of work inspires me? Okay, so this is where we're talking about work. And I said work is only part of your mission, right? And here it is. This part of this visual is asking you, who is doing work that I want to do? Who has the dream job? Who has the job that I wish I would get paid to do? Right? It might be somebody you know, or it might be somebody you follow on YouTube, or you follow on social media, or it could be a friend. It could be an aunt, an uncle, somebody at church. Who's doing work that inspires me? Ask yourself, what are my interests? What are my abilities? And who do I want to serve? That's called your zone of genius. Okay. We're going to spend like 3 weeks on this during the school year. But basically, what are my passions? What am I actually interested in? What do I think about all the time? What are my proficiencies? Meaning, what are my abilities? What do people say I'm actually good at doing? Like, what are my skills? When I was in college, everyone came to me to edit their paper. Like, people would just hand me their papers and say, can you read this and tell me how to improve this? And that's why I worked as an editor for a few years. That just came pretty naturally to me. What comes naturally to you? What are some gifts that God has given to you? You don't even have to really try, right? Like one of my daughter, she's just good at math. I never taught her a lot of math. I never taught her like advanced math, but she just loves it and does it pretty naturally. Some of you are like that. Some of you hate math, but you're really good at reading and writing, right? Or history or science. Those are proficiencies. The A's on your report card, those are your proficiencies. Those are your skills. Pay attention to what are you actually good at. This one at the bottom, your people. This one's the hardest. There are 8 billion people now on the face of the earth. You are not expected to care about all of them. You are only expected to figure out what small, little, tiny segment of those 8 billion people do I want to serve? Which of those people do I need to help meet their needs? Does that make sense, you guys? If you can find where these 3 overlap, your interests, your passions, your proficiencies, your abilities, and then your people, who do you want to serve? What needs do they have that you want to meet? That's called your zone of genius. That's the sweet spot where the people that you admire, what they're doing for a living, they're probably living in their zone of genius, right? And this is why we watch, Project Runway and Chef's Table and Culinary. What is that one? That Korean culinary show? Have you guys seen that? The black spoons versus the white spoons? Like, all those people are operating in their zones of genius, right? It's so satisfying to watch those shows because they just want to get better and better at what they're genius at. So that's kind of what we're going for. Okay, like I said, there will be seasons where you won't be able to live in that zone, but usually it's just a season. Okay. Right now, like we're gonna go through what are your core values, okay? But other than core values, the last question we're going to discuss this school year, if you join the mastermind, we're going to talk about what moments in your life have defined who you are. What positive and negative experiences have you gone through to make you the person you are today? Why do you care about the things you care about, and why don't you care about the things you don't care about? It's probably because of the way you grew up. It's probably because of what you were exposed to or not exposed to. Okay, so if you're curious about, why am I the way I am, right? Other than the way God wired me, my life experience, what does that say about what I might want to do with my life? And you can write this down. You are most equipped to serve the person that you used to be. Okay, if that's a little bit deep, but a lot of times what you end up doing for a living, what you end up doing for work, you end up serving the person that you were. Okay, so I serve students who are looking for a purpose because when I was in middle school and high school, I was looking for a purpose. I was looking for my work and my calling and my mission, right? And that's why that's the need that I'm trying to meet. Okay, going back to core values. What are your core values? What is a core value? Nathan, can you read this out loud? What is a core value?
Compromising important principle or standard that guides your decisions.
You guys, core values, I'm just reading it off the page. It is an uncompromising, important principle or standard that guides your decisions. Okay, core values are what matter the most to you. So ideally, your work, your mission will align with what you value the most. Okay, they will not conflict. What matters to you are going to matter to your career. It's going to matter to your work. Okay, knowing what matters most to you, I'm just reading it off the screen. Knowing what matters most to you will help you to make wise choices that are aligned with who you want to be. Eliana, can you read this last paragraph on the screen for us out loud?
Identifying your values will protect you from wasting your time and energy on activities that don't matter to you.
Yes. So in high school, especially, there are a bajillion activities, classes, clubs that you can choose to take part of. How do you know which ones are actually worth your time? How do you know which ones are not just going to be a waste of time? You ask yourself, is this club? Is this class? Is this activity? Is this sport? Is this opportunity? Is this friend? This person aligned with what I think is important to me? Okay, so now you're going to get to identify your core values, your guiding standards for how to use your life and your priorities. What matters the most to you? So here's what you do. I hope you have something to write with. You choose words from these 4 lists of values. Okay, I gave you a ton of words. You want to circle, star, underline, highlight words that speak to you, that resonate with you. And the way that I'm going to help you with that is I'm going to read these questions in the top right yellow box out loud. Okay, they're right here. I want you to, as I read, I want you to look at the words and just identify which of those words answers the question. For example, let's start. Which values do you respect the most? So if you just scan those values, those words, those lists, mark the ones that command just a sense of respect, right? So for me, for example, truth. Truth brings out like a sense of respect in me. I definitely respect truth. If you value truth, I want to be your friend. And if you don't respect truth, I don't care to be your friend. And I'm not going to apologize for that. Number 2, which values fill you with life? Okay, so which of these words, when you read it, a zing of positive energy goes through your body. So for me, creativity does that. When I read the word creativity, that sends a positive energy through my body. Or freedom. Freedom is another one of my values. So you pick the words that when you read it, man, it just fills you with positivity, hope, fulfillment. Okay, don't think too hard. Go with your first instincts. And right now, you can choose as many as you want. Later, you're going to get to narrow it down. 3, which values describe you like on your best day? On your best day, when you're having the best day of your life, which of these words describes you? It might be I'm compassionate, I'm honest, I have a great work ethic, or I'm courageous. Number 4, which values do you aspire to possess? So here's where you get to choose values that you don't currently possess. They don't currently describe you, but you absolutely want to one day possess this value. Like you may not be the most compassionate person right now, but one day you aspire to be a compassionate person. I know we're going quickly, but you can definitely spend more time on this after class if you want to, okay? Right now, just go with your first instincts. Number 5, which values are you willing to work for? Like you're willing to actually make sacrifices to gain, to protect this value or to gain this value. So that might be justice, right? If you have a really strong value for justice, man, that means I'm going to go to law school. That means I'm going to take the bar exam. I'm going to make sacrifices to make sure that people get justice. I'm going to defend people in court with my life. I'm going to stay up and read these cases and write and make sure they win their case in court, right? Number 6, which values, if suppressed, meaning like if you pretend like they weren't there, if you try to ignore them, neglect them, which values, if they didn't exist, makes you feel unsettled and dissatisfied? I'm going to go so far as to say, if this value did not exist, it wouldn't be a world worth living in. I can't imagine a world without this value. So for me, that's truth, right? If there is no God, if there is no purpose, if there is no meaning, I don't even want to be here, right? Like, not to sound depressed or anything, but it's true. Okay. 7, obviously what you spend your time and money on reveals what you value. What do you spend your time and money on? Is it adventure, right? People who love adventure, they spend a lot of time and money on traveling. People who love fun, they will spend a lot of time and money on vacations. Fun, right? Here's the challenge. Narrow it down to 7 or 8, and then, or you could just scan what you marked and then choose your top 5. I am going to need a few more minutes today. Okay, guys, we're just finishing up. I hope that's okay with all of you. But if you could choose your top 3 to 5 or 6, I'll give you 6, put them in the chat box. And that's what you should write at the top of your pyramid. You are not committed to these answers. You can definitely spend as much time as you want doing this exercise again later, more thoroughly. But if you just had to pick 5 right now, what would you pick? I know a lot of the words are good, huh? A lot of, like, I would choose a lot of them, but I want to say my 5, I'll put them in the chat box. These 5 have been my core values for a very, very long time. And I don't actually think they're ever going to change. Thank you, Ethan. I'm just finishing mine. Okay, Ethan says truth, happiness, hope, faith, and freedom. Yeah, dude, like those are a couple of mine, truth and freedom. Great, Ethan. Vincent says passion, peace, order, fun, and joy. Oh, yeah, joy. That sends a positive vibe through my body. Great, Vincent. Thank you. Um, Kayla says teachability. Amazing. That's such a leadership value. Teachability, faith, consistency, humility, and forgiveness. Wonderful, Kayla. Thank you for sharing. Eliana says love, happiness, wisdom, learning, and trust. Love it. Wisdom is such a great one. Nathan, you said consistency. Wow. Yes, consistency. Trust. A lot of you said trust. That's great. Discipline, hope, and pragmatism. Nathan, can you tell us what pragmatism means? Because maybe not everybody knows what that means. That's kind of an SAT word. Why did you choose pragmatism? What does pragmatism mean? And you can just use your microphone if you don't mind.
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
Yeah, can you just tell us what pragmatism is in your,
Uh,
in your understanding?
I think it's more just like I'm trying to think of a word to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe practical?
Yes, useful, like something that works, right? So pragmatists, they believe in just doing what works. Is that right, Nathan? Something that's practical, useful.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what pragmatism means, in case you didn't know. Silas, thank you. Support, creativity, faith, focus, inner peace. Yes, so that I do those align with music? Your desire to go into, did you say music production? Was kind of what you were
Yeah,
interested in?
yeah, I say that would align with that. Yeah, music.
Yeah. So you guys can start thinking, those of you who did have an answer for what you might want to do for your work, that's, part of your mission. Do these values align with what you want to do? Right? So Kayla, do your values align with teaching? Right? Um, Vincent, do these values align with gaming? Um, Madeline, you say love, friendship, hope, passion, and truth. So, those of you like Madeline, Nathan, those of you who don't know what you want to do, ask yourself, what can I do that would align with love, friendship, hope, passion, and truth, Madeline? Right? So, for Nathan, what line of work, what jobs, what majors, what industries would allow me to be consistent, would value trust, discipline, hope, and pragmatism, right? So it's not an easy question to answer, but I think it's worth asking. You can ask it both ways. Is the thing that I am thinking I want to do aligned with these values? And if I don't know what to do, but these are my values, what kind of work would align with these values? Does that make sense? I hope that's helpful. Vincent, you say yes, they align. Good. Okay. Was that helpful, you guys? Like the core values exercise? I would take it a step further and write your core values on a post-it note and post them on your bathroom mirror. Post these values somewhere where you can see them every day. Because if you can see the best you, right? If these words describe you at your best, your life at its best, you will subconsciously try to align your life, your day, your choices, your decisions with these values. Okay? Write these on a post-it note and put them somewhere where you can see. These core values, they should be energizing to you. So think about what activities make you love being alive. Okay, so those of you who don't know what you want to do in the future, what activities, when you're doing them, you absolutely love being alive. So I have a son who loves fashion. He just got back from New York from a summer program in fashion management. And he came back. He was lit. He was lit. He couldn't stop talking about what he learned, the mentors he met, the guest speakers that he heard, the work they had to do, the projects they had to complete. And I told him, dude, this is your zone of genius. Like this is your calling because he's so happy when he's working in fashion, the business of fashion, the design of fashion, helping people like put together fits. Like it just makes him, it just energizes him. And I asked him, what is your mission behind fashion? Because that can seem kind of like materialistic, right? He said, Mom, when you look good, you feel good. And when you feel good, you do good. And I was like, Amen. Look good, feel good, do good. That is his mission. Does that make sense? That's my 17-year-old. Okay, now we're going to close the class by asking you, what action do you need to take next? Okay, so I'm going to go back up to the beginning of our class. Eliana, animation, music, writing. What is one action that you can take this school year to gain even more clarity about? Are you picking between these, Eliana, or do you want to do all of them?
I'm not sure.
Not sure. Which one do you think you're most interested in if you had to pick animation, music, or writing?
Animation.
Animation. So, what is one thing that you can do this school year to kind of test your passion for animation? Do you want to do you know people who are animators? Do you have, you do? You do?
Kind of.
Kind of. Okay. You could choose to do an interview, right? You could check the interview box. You could write the name. If you don't know somebody who's actually doing the animation, maybe there's somebody who knows somebody who's doing who's an animator. Eliana, I have a second cousin who works for Disney as an Imagineer. Is that somebody you're interested in talking to? An Imagineer who works for Disney and Pixar?
Maybe.
Okay, because that is like an animation studio, right? Okay, so you want to think about what can I do to find out more about the field of animation? Do you want to buy some software that will, allow you to start animating? Do you want to watch some videos about animation, right? You could just Google or, use YouTube and say, or ChatGPT, show me videos that teach me how to do animation, right? And see what it brings up. Like that's so easy. You could do that like right now, right? Silas, music production. What's one thing you can do like immediately, if not this school year, this summer, to find out a little bit more about what's involved with music production?
For me, I think I could watch more like YouTube videos or other like
Mm-hmm.
we call it to like
Music producers.
yeah, or and like documents, lessons, all that.
Yes. So you want to start with watching videos, doing
Yeah.
research? Yes. Do you know anybody in the music production industry?
No, not
Do you
really.
know anybody who knows somebody?
No.
Okay.
I
Then you need to, all of you live in the age of AI, which you are so blessed and so lucky. You ask Mr. ChatGPT, how do I learn about music production? Okay. Silas, you literally write ChatGPT, how do I learn about music production? And have you already done that, Silas?
not specifically to AI or ChatGPT, but I have researched about it.
You have. Okay.
Mhm.
Do you feel like you've done enough research?
No, I mean I have what do you call it? I have FL Studio, the music production software, and I have been
Nice.
uh, working on it a little bit, but I think I just need more information first to figure it out.
Do you want to get better at that software?
Yeah, I do.
You want to find a teacher who can teach you how to use it better?
Probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe instead of in ChatGPT, you can say, who can, who can teach me how to use the name of that software, right?
Mhm.
Like you guys should always start with ChatGPT. Like, just like we always start with Google, right? Like see what comes up. It will lead to something else. It will lead to another door, which leads to another door. But Silas, can I suggest something?
Mhm.
There, just like my son was in a fashion management summer program, there are summer programs for music production. You can
Okay.
ask GPT, find me a program for students who want to learn music production and see what comes up.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's so many other things you can do, right? You can interview a professional, try to find someone who knows someone. If there's organizations like schools, like maybe Juilliard has something on their website, right? Like any kind of music production or music industry sites or organizations, they will have contacts for you. Maybe you can find an internship, but I think a summer program would be great for you if you can find one. And then a passion project, you guys, that's where you come up with your own project that tests your own commitment to this field, and then you lead. You come up with a club, you start a club, you raise awareness with a campaign, an event, or a fundraiser. You initiate a class for children to educate them about whatever it is you're interested in, right? Like Eliana, one day you might be able to teach younger kids how to animate something simple, right? That could be a passion project. When you have to teach something, that's when you become an expert. Yeah. Um, Nathan, what's something that you can do to take one step toward gaining more clarity?
Doing an online test to give me like a general idea of what I would do good at.
Like a career assessment?
Yeah.
I actually have one that I'm going to put in the chat box. Does anybody, and this is something we would do together during the mastermind during the school year, but probably not all of you are going to be able to join that. But for those of you that want a head start and want to do a assessment, I'm going to put the link in the chat box for you, Nathan. Okay. Just copy it and paste it into a browser. That's one. There's another one that I'm going to use this year, giftedness.guide. I think it's missing the www, but you guys can use these to do some assessments. During the school year, when we do this together, we're going to actually talk about your results and share them with each other. But I hope that second one is right. If that one doesn't come up, giftedness.guide, that one is by a Christian named Bill Hendricks. Okay, so that will definitely bring it up for you. Nathan, I hope that helps. Do those. Okay, take those two assessments. You're probably going to have to put in your email address to get the results, but let me know how that goes, if that's helpful at all. Okay, I did look into both of them and I think they're both worth doing. Okay,
Thank you.
yeah, of course. Eliana, what's something you can take action on this year? Oh, sorry, I already talked to you, right, Eliana? Animation. Sorry, I meant Kayla. Kayla, what's something you can take action on in teaching?
Well, I was thinking maybe I want to be like a music teacher instead
Music
of like a
teacher.
general teacher.
Did that just come to you during this afternoon, during this class?
Well, I don't know. I was kind of considering it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's one thing you can do to kind of look more into that?
I could like ask my music teachers right now,
Yes.
or
Yes.
I could like help out with my youth orchestra.
Yes, definitely. Those are within your first degree contacts. You just talk to your teacher and say, "Hey, can I just ask you a few questions about how you decided to be a music teacher and tell me your story, right? Tell me your journey.
Mm.
And if you could give me advice, if I wanted to do what you're doing, what can I do right now in middle school to one day do what you're doing?" See what they have to say. Yeah, you have contacts right now in your life. Does that help, Kayla?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, of course. You don't just have to think about it. You can actually go talk to somebody. Vincent, what's one thing that you can take action on to be a gamer? What's one thing that you're wondering about? What can I actually, do I have what it takes to be a gamer?
I think I need to talk to a better person who knows games.
Mm-hmm. Do you know anybody who is doing what you want to do?
Yes.
You do. Okay. Then just come up with 3 questions to ask them, right? How do I do what you're doing? What is one thing that I can develop in myself? What skills do I need to do what you do? Um, yeah, like tell me a day in the life of your work, right? I understand that gamers have to be in great shape because if you're sitting behind a computer all day, you actually have to be in great physical health. You have to kind of be fit to be able to sit for that long and be focused and, do a good job. So that is a legitimate career and you need to, yeah, find out a little bit more. Are you willing to, Vincent? Good. I see your thumbs up. Okay, Madeline, what's one thing that you can do to gain a little more clarity?
Um, try new things and see what I like.
Yes. Where are you going to start? Is there somewhere you want to start that align with your core values?
Not really.
Okay. Is there somebody you can talk to who can give you a starting point? Somebody who really knows you.
Mm, no.
Your parents?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Can I suggest that if you guys don't have clarity enough to even start, ask your mom or ask your dad. There's nobody who knows you more and knows you better and wants the best for you than your mom or dad, right? So you literally ask them, what do you see in me? Like, what do you see myself doing, right? These are my core values. What would align with these values? And just talk about it with somebody, get the conversation going. That is a starting point for anybody here who doesn't have a clear starting point. Does that help? Okay. Yeah, thank you, Madeline. Okay, guys, I have taken enough of your time. Let me just close by inviting you to continue this conversation. Okay, we only got started today, right? But the goal, you guys, is to get to heaven and know, right, that you have accomplished the mission for which you were sent to earth. All right. I want to say Jesus has already accomplished all of our good works for us. There's nothing that God is like waiting on us to do in terms of ultimate accomplishment. Jesus has lived our life for us perfectly, right? And that is the comfort that we have. That's why you guys can experiment. That's why you guys can change careers, but you have to start somewhere. You have to have a starting point. And so today, I just wanted you guys to have a starting point. Where are you going to start? Now that you have an idea of what a mission is, what God's up to, and what your core values are. Okay. I want you guys to consider using middle school and high school to really lead yourself intentionally. Don't just think about your future. Don't just talk about it. Don't just dream about it and pray about it. Go do something. Go talk to somebody. Watch a video, download some software, find a mentor, find a tutor, find someone who's doing what you want to do. Okay? If you don't drive, you will drift. If you don't drive, you're just going to drift, and nobody drifts to a destination, that's awesome, right? So try to take control. Okay. One thing we are going to get to do during the school year, if you choose to join my mastermind, you're going to get to create a personal mission statement. A personal mission statement is a target. It's what matters to you, who you're trying to be, and why you're here, all on one page. So a personal mission statement looks like this. Some of you have, in my mastermind last year, I've shown this to you, but a personal mission statement is personal. This is who you want to be. This is your aim in life. your core values are on here, verses that speak to you, quotes that you like, song lyrics that you like, pictures that inspire you, favorites, your pets, your foods, your sports, your music. These are all different, but I give you a template to follow. You basically fill in the blank through the school year, and by the end, you have your best you and your best life all on one page. You print it out, you put it on your wall, and this is supposed to protect your time, protect your energy. It's supposed to help you to say no to things that don't align with what you want to do. Okay? So this is your sign to lead your year and lead your life. Don't drift. Okay? Take action. If you're interested in the mastermind, we meet twice a month. We start in September, we end in April. You set goals, one for first semester, one for second semester. You actually work toward the things you want to accomplish, and you receive support and accountability just like today. Okay, just like today, you get to share answers, you get to watch each other's journeys. And if I don't get to work with you this school year, I want you to know that I do have a YouTube channel that you can follow if you want to have videos about leadership that you can just watch on your own time. Okay, I'll put that in the chat box. And with that, I want to thank you guys for staying extra. And I wanted to let each of you speak and hear your own next steps, and that's why I kept you over. But thank you for staying to the end. I hope this was helpful. The last question I want to ask you to put in the chat box is, what was the one idea that was helpful, that was useful, that you will take now that we're done? It's maybe I just really needed to decide on the one action, that I needed. Or maybe I now know like that my mission should align with God's mission. I now know that God's mission is to redeem and restore people by meeting their needs. Maybe I needed to ask myself, what needs do I want to meet? Maybe your realization is, I need to join this mastermind. I need to spend more time thinking about this than just this hour and a half. Just one idea that you really used from today's class. Maybe I really enjoyed, learning my core values or what a core value is. And then I just want to pray for you guys before I let you go, okay? Kayla, how to align my work and mission with God's mission. Thank you. Nathan, I have to start somewhere. Amen. Yes. Take action. Silas, my core values was the one idea that helped. Yay. Good, Silas. Madeline, core values as well. Thank you. Yeah. That workbook page, that page for core values was from the curriculum that we're using this year. So if you enjoyed that exercise, we're going to do more like that as we answer the 8 key questions this school year. Okay. And the last thing I want to say is, if you want to do the curriculum, but you can't join the whole group, I do work with students one-on-one. And it is possible to go through the Discover Your Personal Mission curriculum one-on-one, okay, once a month. If that's of interest to you, all you do is let me know. Okay. Next week, I am having an